from Session Engineering and welcome to a surprisingly sunny but quite cool Donington Park. We're here because it's the first round of the year for us and it's my first No Limits endurance round. So, step into the garage and we'll show you some toys. So, over here we've got mine and Martin's Gen 3 BMWs. So there are endurance tools and Martin's doing the sprint races on them as well. I've also brought with me my Chinese Super Twin. This is a CF Moto NK650 with the absolute nuts tuned off it. So we're going to run this in the Super Twin sprint races and then go and do 3 hours of endurance racing this afternoon. And hopefully by the end of the day it'll all be smiles and happiness. About 4 or 5 minutes ago before my first session on the Twin, so I'm just about to put my helmet on. I've been doing this for years and I still get a little bit nervous before the first session. Donington in the cold has a little bit of a reputation for people falling off down craters on the left hand side of the tyre, so I'm bearing that in mind a little bit. The tarmac is cold. I love Donington to bits. I've ridden here for years and years, I always get on with the place, but I am a little bit nervous about it still, because it's first time out on the bike at a race meeting for a year. So, it'll be fine. Hopefully.
So, Dave, to get ready for going out for practice on the Twin, has decided to strike a pose of the frog. Apparently this is a very unique motorcycle yoga position. Ah, the one leg. Very good, David. Very good.
Right, we've just had the buzzer, which means, actually I don't know what it means. It must mean pit lanes open or closed or something. Anyway, Martin's about to go out first for endurance qualifying, and once he's been out, he's going to do about 10 or 15 minutes or so. He's going to come in, I'll go out and do 10 or 15 minutes, and then we'll swap around, so we'll both have 2 short sessions because we've got 50 minutes in total. It's a little bit chaos because every other session we go round the back of the garages and through the assembly area, but for the endurance you don't have to. But nobody really knew that. So a bit of a faff, but Martin's about ready to go. Yeah, let's have a bet.
So for the second time today, Dave is striking the frog pose. Oh, there he goes. Dave, can you explain why you're doing frog yoga?
Well, it's ideal time to do frog yoga, isn't it? In your leathers just before a session. And now I'm doing my little teapot. I'm a little teapot.
Splendid job, sir.
So that's first session of quali endurance. Yeah, endurance quali. And they've had a red flag. Martin's done 1 flying lap. Did a 1 minute 20, which is actually pretty good going. He's about 12, 15, something like that, so it's actually gone quite well. I've got a sneaking suspicion he's going to be faster than me, and to be fair to him, he can barely walk at the moment. So we might have our fastest rider incapacitated by halfway through the afternoon. Brilliant. Right, that's my first little stint done. I was very, very slow. It's a little bit, you know, I haven't ridden on Pirellis in years, and they fidget all the time, the bike's constantly moving. And if it was a Dunlop like that, you'd be right on the edge of the grip, but on these, you're not. But it's just taken me a bit to get into it, and it's first time back at Donington in a couple of years, so Martin's got his iron a bit quicker. I like to steady away, but we've got another few laps in a bit, so hopefully I'll pull my finger out. We've just finished quali. Martin did 3 little sessions in that one. He's actually going faster than me. I think he's currently 4 seconds a lap quicker than me because, like, you know, he's a hero now. He's got a BMW. What do you reckon, Martin? Enjoy it?
Yeah, good first few laps on it. Getting used to it, and haven't lobbed it down craners yet, so we're doing well.
Woohoo! We'll call that a successful first session then. we're just having a look at Ebo's sheet from the quali for like the newcomer and clubman sprint races. So Ebo's he's doing the same as me, a little bit steady first session.
Very steady. Very, very steady.
But it is better than lobbing it in the scenery.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm pleased I'm not the only person who's having a gentle start to the weekend.
If you start slow, you can only get faster, so there you go.
That'll do.
So how was Martin in his first session then, for timings?
Yeah, might have been about 4 seconds quicker than me.
Why is that?
Well, it's because, Adam, we've got the racing excuse book out. Having ridden on quality Dunlops for 10, 12 years, I've gone back to Pirellis because we have to, and they feel a bit horrible because they sort of fidget all the time. Like the Dunlop will just sort of sit, and then it'll fidget when it's near its limit of grip. The Pirelli just fidgets all the time. I think it's actually fidgeting sat out there in the sunshine now. So that it's just taking a bit, and I'm a little bit paranoid first session of lobbing it through a left-hander. So I'll admit I wasn't particularly on form. The bike didn't feel like normal. So do we need any more excuses?
That's covered off excuse in the page number 47 and 3.
I mean, to be fair to Martin, he's got a bad back, and this is only the second time he's ever ridden that BMW. So, actually, kudos to Martin, and of course, I was the one who made him buy a BMW. So, really, I ought to get the credit for his excellent lap time.
Well done, sir.
Thank you.
So, just waiting for Martin to go out, and Dave's having a bit of a play around with suspension. Dave, can you tell us what's happening?
Martin was bottoming the forks out on the way into the little S's at the end of the lap. So he's bottoming the fork, and then the bike's pivoting up and he can't slow down anymore because back wheel's in the air. So we're just going through some settings. The bike didn't actually have any preload in the forks. And that's how we got it from the previous owner. So we thought we'd run it like that to begin with. So now we're trying some preload in it. We've put 5mm in, which is quite a big change, but it should definitely keep it off the end of the travel now. So Martin's going to go out, do his next quali session on it, and hopefully it'll be better. If he falls off it, it's definitely not my fault.
What's Martin got to say about this?
Martin? It's always Dave's fault.
Officially, it's not my fault. Officially, it's Craig's fault.
That is true. The one who shall not be named Dave.
Yes.
It's always his fault.
Always.
Dave, what are you doing?
We're having a little bit of a sort of a debrief. We're just talking through what happened during that session for mine. It's just a quali session. The forks are still bottoming a little bit into the S's and maybe a little bit into the first corner. Not really got time to look through all the data. But at least we're sort of work out where the bike's good, where the bike's bad, and decide what changes to make to sort of settle it down. So I went out for my little Super Twin race, and the bike was handling lovely. I've changed the forks, put some Bitubos in it, and I've got loads more confidence in the front end of the bike. I can get it turn better, I can outbrake pretty much anybody I want. And I was in sort of 4 laps in. I'd gone 5 seconds quicker than I'd gone in qualifying, which admittedly still wasn't that fast because my qualifying time was terrible. And then it started spitting a little bit of water at me, and I think it's done head gasket. ER6s, and obviously this is very, very similar to an ER6. They are a bit prone for this when they're tuned, so it's not the end of the world. The plan is this evening we'll slot a spare motor in, and we'll be back on the grid tomorrow. But before we do anything like that, Martin is just about to go out for his sprint race for the day. He's terribly excited. He's actually doing better on the bike than we thought today because his back isn't playing him up too much. Once he's on the bike, he's fairly comfy. And I could almost do with him slowing down a bit because it's, going to get embarrassing soon. If I'm not careful and he carries on like this, I'm actually going to have to write some more excuses. bike was out for his sprint race, and we had a little bit of a nervous moment when he didn't come round one lap, but then luckily he pulled into the pits. A couple of years ago we had a bit of a moment down Craner, having sort of run on at the chicane and lost a load of tyre temperature. So today he ran on a little bit of the chicane, just ran into the gravel for a little bit and had to sort of pedal his way out, and then was a bit nervous about rejoining and heading down Craner again, which is fair enough. So he decided to pull in the pits. So we're just going to check the bike around. That tyre that Adam's taken out is going to get used tomorrow for some more sprint races. So we're having a fresh light endurance rear in for the endurance race. We're just going to whip the belly pan and bits off the bike, go through it, check there's no gravel anywhere, put fuel in it, general check over. And in just under an hour and a half we'll be ready for an endurance race. Right, pit lane has just gone open, so in the next couple of minutes I've got to ride down, get on the grid, then in a few minutes we then do like a sighting lap, and then we do the proper race start, and it's a bit odd because it's a running on the Bond start and I really don't know what I'm doing, so this is going to be exciting, and I will admit I'm a bit nervous, so right, we better go.
Right, so Dave's just gone out and they're all lining up because they're going to be doing like a Le Mans style start. So first off they all line up there, and then one by one they go for their sighting lap. They'll all come back in, line the bikes up against pit wall, riders will go to the opposite side of the track, and it's a mad dash. Right, so Dave's just done his first stint of 40 minutes, just come back in, and what he's now doing is he's making some new numbers. This is because our pit board, the numbers on a black background with orange letters isn't very bright. You can't really see it when he's coming past the pit wall at 150 mile an hour. So he's making some new ones that should be a lot brighter. Let's have a word with Dave. Dave, how did that session go?
Well, actually all right. My first few laps were a bit steady, and then about halfway through my back was aching a little bit, and I was feeling like I hadn't ridden a bike much this year. And then I sort of forgot about it and just sort of rode around and enjoyed myself. And the last half of the session was actually pretty good fun, but I can't see the pit board because the numbers on our pit board are quite dull, and the sun's behind the pit board, and I think I saw it twice, and I came in when it said in, but it meant 3 laps to in. So I'm making new numbers. We're going to have 3 laps to go, 2 laps to go, and 1, and then I'll pull in.
Excellent. So do you know how fast you went? Roughly, average laps?
15's best.
Best, yeah, it's around 116, 115, so going well. So Martin's out at the minute. He'll be doing his 40 minutes or 30 minutes, depending on how much of a girl pants he wants to be. And then we'll get the bike prepped. It's just there cooling down before we chuck some more fuel in it. And then we go off and away again. Marvellous stuff.
For the endurance racing, there is a lot of bikes on the track at the same time. I'm traffic to some people, other people are traffic to me. It is quite exciting on occasions, and actually getting a clear lap isn't that easy, even in 3 hours.
Another half an hour.
Easy.
Yeah? He's snuffering. He said, ask Dave what's happening.
20 minutes.
Hey? Well, he's going to try and stay out. I said, try and do half an hour. I said, I know Dave won't be right for half an hour.
Right, that's my second 40 minutes done. The back tyre's about spent. I'm feeling like I've done some work now. And I think Martin might do a slightly shorter stint because I think he's suffering with his back. But we'll go over here. Adam's pulling the back wheel out because that tyre is spent. I mean, Donington is fairly hard on tyres on the right hand side. It actually doesn't feel that bad. If you had a hard compound Dunlop in, well, you could probably ride around all Europe on it, but these are Pirelli, so you can't. But to be honest, it's actually not done too badly. Better than I actually expected. Adam's just fighting the sprocket carrier. But the boys are on the game. My back's feeling it a little bit in that one, and I was beginning to get a little bit of cramp in my legs. So I might eat another banana, because the potassium in bananas apparently stops you getting cramp in your legs. Well, stops you getting cramp. Annoyingly, I did forget to turn the camera on that time, so that was a session of no footage. Never mind. But we're not doing too bad. If I come down this end, I am not using that front tyre very well. I don't tend to use the edge of front tyres, it's just the way I ride. So I tend to sort of brake deep into a corner, not actually carry massive lean angle, so there's a load of spare there. This side's probably even worse. Yeah, look at all that. I've got chicken strips still. That shows how slowly I'm riding today. But we're going all right. Look at that, the boys are like a well-oiled machine. If your well-oiled machine is a bit questionable. But I'm sure they're enjoying themselves as much as I am.
Introducing the Obsession Engineering fitness plan. Yoga moves. This again is one of David's favourites. The frog pose. Dave will be doing some online classes in the very, very near future. So please keep an eye out on our channel. And let's go racing.
So here I go for another session on the BMW. As soon as we swap the transponder off from Martin's bike, I'm rolling down pit lane. And then before you know it, we're back to race pace. Except I like to take a few corners to just get my brain up to speed. My brain's definitely up to speed now as we head for the final lap of the day. And isn't Donington lovely in the sunshine?
endurance racing isn't that bad, you know. Weirdly, that half-hour session at the end felt the easiest out of all of them, because you get into a rhythm, and I will admit I chucked a rear tyre in it, so I had a little bit of grip. I really wanted a 113, I just couldn't quite get it. Every time I was on a decent lap, you get a bit of traffic and then you lose your rhythm a bit. Nah, happy days. And Martin's done quite well considering he can barely walk, so he is the hero of the hour. Just don't tell him.
Jen, we want to see you walking.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I've never known him so quiet.
Okay, then Martin doesn't want to talk, but I'm sure Jez will, because sort of our unsung heroes, Adam, but don't tell him, and Jez, who we can tell, because Jez has done the pit boards all day, and it's more of a job than you think, because he's got to count the laps and count the sessions and tell us what we're doing, and I didn't like the pit board, so we changed that as well, and yeah, he's had a busy day.
Yeah, it was good fun. The boys did really, really well. Pleasure to work with them, as always. They put it in, kept consistent, and brought it home. That's the main thing. It's really good.
And to be fair, I think Chrissy Rouse has been getting a bit closer to people than we have. Have a look at that side panel. Rubbin's race today, Chrissy. Yeah, go on then.
Yeah, so very lucky. Someone crashed on the inside of Coppice, and I was right on the back wheel of Barry Teasdale. I was kind of wanting to compare the old Kawasaki against the new one on the straight, and so I was right on his back wheel. He sat up and hit the brakes, and I just had nowhere to go. And it's an absolute miracle. But I will just say, these the mandatory lever guards. Without that, the bike would have been totally written off. So yeah, it's for whatever the cost of those are.
20 quid.
Yeah. 20 quid. It maybe saved about 10 grand there. So.
As the sun sets after our first No Limits endurance race, I think we've done pretty well. OK, we may not have bothered the podium, but most importantly, we've come away with 2 complete motorbikes and big smiles on our faces. I'd just like to say an especially big thank you to Jez and Adam. Without them, it would have been really, really awkward. And hopefully, we'll be back for some more action soon.